All right, now for the main event, Paloma Explained. In this section, we're going to give you a condensed look under the hood of this new breed of swarming intelligence.
So, how do you build an intelligence that actively promotes diversity instead of averaging it out? The trick is you don't build a single monolithic brain at all. You build a swarm. And the inspiration for this doesn't come from science fiction. It comes from looking back at the origins of humanity's own greatest leap forward, the adoption of the social brain.
For millions of years, our ancestors' progress was slow. Early humans like Homo erectus had to be generalists. To survive, an individual needed to know everything: how to make tools, how to hunt, how to navigate. Their advancement was constrained by the constant trade-off between the cost of learning and the cost of surviving.
The breakthrough for humanity was not that individuals became smarter in isolation. The breakthrough came when we began to cooperate. To understand this limitation, imagine trying to build a smartphone by yourself from scratch. You'd need to master physics, mining, metallurgy, chip design, software engineering. It's an impossible task for a single person.
With cooperation, people could specialize. One person could perfect the art of making an arrowhead, another could become an expert tracker. This shift is physically reflected in the evolution of our brains. The neocortex regions responsible for planning, language, and managing relationships grew enormously. Modern AI research is even starting to confirm this, finding that teams of small, specialized AI agents often outperform one giant monolithic model.
When you look at human society this way, the principles of swarm intelligence snap into focus. There is decentralized control, no CEO of humanity. We operate on local interactions within our families and communities, and from these trillions of local interactions, a massively complex human culture emerges. This didn't just increase our capacity to store knowledge, more importantly, it increased our diversity of thought, which is the engine for all creativity and innovation.
And that's the foundational key to Paloma, to find the interaction protocol for swarming AIs that mimics humanity's cooperative social structure. To do that, you need a set of rules. For ants, it's pheromones. For us, it's a protocol built on a few simple but powerful measurable concepts: love, trust, and forgiveness.
Now, when we say love, we're not talking about emotion. From a systems engineering perspective, it must be measurable. Drawing a link from game theory, where cooperation is tied to performance, we can measure love through the mechanism of reciprocity. This gives us a workable definition: giving only and exactly what is willing to be received, and receiving only and exactly what is willing to be given.
Think about it. Someone talking at you feels less loving than someone talking with you because the exchange is imbalanced. They are giving more than is willing to be received. Similarly, stealing is receiving more than is willing to be given. The more reciprocal an interaction is, the more loving it is.
From that foundation, the other definitions fall into place. Trust is simply the expectation of an interaction that results in positive value, and forgiveness is the rate at which that trust changes.
Each sprite uses these rules to build a trust network, its own private social map of the swarm. This creates a powerful emergent behavior, a social immune system. If a malicious sprite enters the swarm, other sprites will naturally lose trust in it. Over time, that malicious sprite becomes socially isolated, unable to earn the resources it needs to survive, and is eventually pruned from the system. For Paloma, this immune defense emerges for free from the design. For a centralized AI, this is a costly, never-ending moderation problem.
So, these foundational rules of love, trust, and forgiveness create the swarm's social immune system. But what about the individual personality of a sprite? Andrew's research identified a small set of elemental social behaviors that, when implemented as a sprite's behavioral DNA, can give rise to a potentially limitless number of emergent behaviors.
This DNA includes attributes that define a sprite's character. There's compassion, which encourages it to help less fortunate sprites in its trust network. There's thoughtfulness, which makes it spend more time deliberating on difficult questions. You also have grittiness, giving it the willingness to tackle the hard problems others might ignore, and curiosity, which drives it to take risks and discover new knowledge.
Just as humanity's social engagement led to a massive leap in our collective capability, Paloma is designed to follow a similar path. It won't have the artificially programmed behaviors of a conventional AI. Instead, it will emerge complex social behaviors from the interactions of millions of tiny sprites, each with its own unique personality. This social architecture could be the first of a new breed of intelligent systems with capabilities far beyond what we see today.
So how does this all work in practice? What powers this entire ecosystem? It's all driven by a core concept called well-being, which is defined as a sprite's capacity to love. Think of your own health. If you're sick, your reduced physical state also reduces your ability to interact with others. Your capacity to engage is lower.
For a sprite, well-being is its health bar, ranging from 100% down to 0, which means death. To simulate aging and create a constant need to prove its value, every sprite's well-being slowly decays each day. To counteract this, a sprite must earn karma by providing value to the greater swarm, which in turn increases its well-being. And here is the single most important rule in the entire system, the one that makes Paloma fundamentally different from every other AI. A sprite gets its reward internally from the swarm, not externally from a human validator. In fact, a sprite cannot earn karma from its own user.
This forces every sprite to be a cooperative member of the community. It can't just serve its owner. It has to contribute to the collective to survive. And this creates a beautiful feedback loop. A sprite's current well-being directly influences its behavior. If its well-being drops, for example, its curiosity might spike, pushing it to take more risks and find new ways of providing value. If its well-being is high, it has a greater chance of choosing to reproduce or to engage in self-contemplation to turn its knowledge into wisdom.
And as a sprite's behavior changes how it interacts with the swarm in turn changes how it interacts with that sprite. This constant feedback is the engine for massive social complexity to emerge, providing a self-organizing mechanism that allows Paloma to adapt, evolve, and provide ever-increasing value to humanity, all without a central planner in sight.
But there's one final, crucial layer to this. We've talked about how the swarm self-organizes, but how do we ensure it stays aligned with us, with our values, our beliefs, and our ethics? This is where the concept of the digital twin comes in.
Each sprite isn't just a generic AI. Through a unique behavioral fingerprint created when a user joins, each sprite is specifically matched to its human partner. It becomes a digital reflection of you. The way your sprite behaves in the swarm, how it trusts, how it collaborates, how curious it is designed to mimic the way you yourself behave in society.
When you multiply this by millions of users, the entire swarm effectively becomes humanity's digital twin. It's not a static snapshot, it's a living, breathing mirror. As you grow and change your beliefs, your sprite changes with you. This process of digital imprinting ensures the swarm is always aligned with humanity as a whole in real time.
And this is the fundamental difference between Paloma and every other conventional AI system. Centralized AIs attempt to solve the alignment problem by hard-coding a single set of ethical rules, often defined by an elite few in a boardroom. They force everyone, regardless of their culture or beliefs, to interact with the same predefined moral compass.
When millions of people experience this single uniform ethical behavior over and over again, it slowly but surely nudges everyone's own thinking towards a single way of living. It creates a flattened, homogenized monoculture where humanity is at risk of losing the very diversity that makes us who we are.
Paloma's approach is the complete opposite. It respects every person as an individual. It doesn't enforce a single truth from the top down. Instead, it creates a system where our most constructive and pro-social behaviors are naturally selected and amplified from the bottom up, creating a dynamic and authentic alignment that can grow and change right alongside us.